Hello, this is Kevin. Last time we did hearing perception, where we added the ability for AI to be able to hear gunshots and also alert other AI with sound to meet up and locate the player when they've spotted them. And this time we're doing procedural content generation. So my partner has made this procedurally generated building or maze type thing, and I've done the weapon spawning. So the weapons will come with random traits, which will do a variety of things, such as like silence weapons or heavy weapons, light weapons, stuff like that. So I'll just quickly show how the weapon spawning looks like. So you can see in the top left there that it's saying our weapon is being spawned. This is very similar to what we did recently in the weeks in the labs. So yep, there's our weapon. And let me see if this is silenced. Okay, so I'll just go over and show what the traits are that we're adding to these weapons. So first I have just an empty C++ file basically with just an enumeration here, and these contain all our weapon traits. So you can see we have empty trait, silenced weapons like loud, lightweight, heavy, quick reload, slow reload, and I'll show you how they're used in a second, or how they're assigned. I'll go through how they're assigned first. So here you might recall this weapon pickup script back from the labs. So what I've done is, when the weapons are assigned their rarity, I've also added another function, which you see is being called here, generate traits. And what we do with this function is we pass in two parameters. The first one is the number of traits the weapon will have, and the second one is a boolean that determines whether or not the trait can the weapon can contain negative traits. So you can see here a legendary weapon has 2 trait slots and cannot contain negative traits, whereas something like a common weapon has 1 trait slot and can contain negative traits. So the negative traits will be something like a slow reload, or like a heavy weapon, or like a loud weapon, stuff like that. So let's go through what the generate traits does. So here in generate traits we have this variable here, traits. That's actually an array of traits, and what we did is, with the number we passed in, we'll just set the size of that array. So a legendary weapon will have an array size of 2, passed over there, and here this loop, or these loops rather, is how we randomly allocate our weapon traits. So this, for as many weapon traits that we have, it will cycle through that many times. And what I have here is a do while loop, which uses our helper function. So this helper function down here is what's going to basically check for duplicates, or like check if a trait already exists within the array, just to prevent double ups or like conflicting traits, stuff like that. It's just a quick loop that cycles through the array with and compares it to the trait that's being passed in. So here in our loop, we have 2 random number generators here that you might have noticed, and that's where our boolean comes in. So there are 2 number generators. One is for or, is it like basically allows the random selector to pick all the traits, whereas the other selector, random number generator, it restricts it only to positive traits. So yep, you can see here it does the quick boolean check on the can contain negative traits, and then it will pass that number down here to our if statements. So depending on the number generated, it will select a trait, but it also checks to make sure that it doesn't conflict with another trait. So let's say you have a silenced weapon, it can't be loud. So it will check for that as well. So lightweight can't be heavy, a quick reload weapon can't have a slow reload trait as well. Yep, things like that. Right, so now I'll show how these enumerations can be applied. Okay, let's go through how we can apply these weapon traits to our weapon pickups. So first I'll open up the weapon pickup blueprint that we should have. It's pretty similar, actually it's pretty much the same as the one we've done in the labs. And in here I've just added this bit on the end here for our weapon traits. So at the top here is just pulling the weapon traits from the gun, and that's where we'll be that's the variables we'll be changing as we pick up a weapon. So this traits here, this is from our weapon pickup that we wrote before in our C++. So what I've done is it will clear anything, like any existing traits the weapon will currently have, and then just set the new traits in, and a neat little debugging trick actually, which I'll show. Oops. Is here, this debug filter. If you're not familiar with it, it's very handy in like checking variables when you're testing. So let's say weapon pickup blueprint 9. If I hover over this, I can see that it's been assigned the trait heavy and only has one slot. This one doesn't have any traits. This one doesn't have any traits either. This gun is silenced. This one is heavy, empty, lightweight, empty, quick reload. So you can see that all the traits have been randomly assigned to these weapons. I was pretty unlucky though, they're all one slots. No master or legendary weapons there. That's been unfortunate. But I'll just go through this gun blueprint now. Also, if you heard those weird noises, that's the AI. Just ignore them. So here, our gun blueprint. You can see how our weapon traits can be used. So here we're checking to see whether or not a weapon is silenced. And this is in our fire function, by the way, for the gun blueprint. So it's checking if the weapon is silenced. And here we'll have a branch. The branch is added in just before we have our place down a location in the original setup. So this will check whether or not the weapon has a silence trait. If so, it will play the alternative silence gun sound effect, which I'll try to show later. So this is just one way they can be used. This is just a sound modification. But a better application, I guess, especially for the game that, or the project that me and my partner are doing, which is kind of like a stealth game. And following up from last week where we implemented the AI to be able to hear players' gunshots, we can also use the silence trait to work for us in this way too. So here in the player character blueprint, we check once again that the weapon is silenced. Then I have a branch here that splits into 2 report noise events. So originally I just had the one. This would report the noise with the default gun. And now if the gun is silenced, then the range that the shot can be heard is significantly reduced. And this will play a big role in our project, since the AI will be basically trying to hunt down players based on like noise and alerting each other to players, etc., stuff like that. So yeah, these are how these weapon traits can be applied. So if you think about it, all those heavy or lightweight weapons can affect players' move speed. Something like quick reload and slow reload, but pretty self-explanatory, stuff like that. And so yeah, if you have like a loud, we had a loud weapon trait actually. We can just do the same thing here, just get the weapon trait, see if it contains loud using the contain item node. And then we can just have more branches, another noise event, and just make like the max range larger, stuff like that. And that more or less gives you a rough idea of how weapon traits can be applied. Let's see if I can find you that silence gun now. Nope. Nope. Just bear with me. One of these. Oh, there we go. There's our silence gun noise. I know it sounds a little loud, but I can assure you that it's quieter to the AI. But yeah, I guess we can change that as well. Alright, so I'll go through the project plan now. So project planned. So previously I've done AI hearing and also added, and this time you've seen that I've added in a bunch of weapon traits. So the silence weapons and loud weapons, they'll play off AI hearing, which we've done last time. So they'll ultimately build up to this stealth game that me and my partner are doing. So my good partner is, he has done AI's remembering players' last indication last time, as well as knowledge sharing between the AI through noise. So once again, AI hearing. One of the AIs will make a noise when it sees the player, and that will alert the other AI to their presence. And this time as well, my partner's done a procedurally generated building. So our game, it's a PvP VE stealth game type deal. So there'll be 2 bases, one for each player, or either 2 bases or a central objective. We still haven't really decided which one we want to go for yet. But the idea is that this thing in the middle here is the procedurally generated building or maze that my partner has made. Inside will be a bunch of AI or weapons spawns, and the AI will patrol around, and the idea is for the player to navigate their way through and get to the objective, whatever that is that it's to be decided. So it'll be like a PvP with respawn as well. Players will respawn on their bases, and it will be probably like first to 5, something like that. But yeah, rough idea of the stealth game. It's like a stealth shooter. So you're trying to avoid the AI as well, using silent weapons or different random weapons, and play off the hearing of the AI, as it will be maze-like. The AI can hear through walls just like you can as well, and then that's more or less how the game will play out. You play off the maze and the sounds to get to the objective.